Yay. Hey everybody, we're so excited to be here. Welcome to Workshops for Moms. This is where we connect you with the mom experts on everything you need to know to be the best you and confidently raise amazing kids. I'm so excited. We have 3 speakers today, and Janel, Jena, and myself, and we have such a variety of things we're going to talk about. So let's get at it. First, we have Janel. Janel is a women's empowerment coach, author, speaker, and mom of 2 adult daughters. After finding herself divorced after 24 years and brokenhearted after a breakup with her boyfriend, Janel went on a deep dive into healing and rediscovering herself and learned to enjoy life and all that comes her way. During her healing journey, she wrote a book titled You Are Your Own Lighthouse. Janel's mission is to help women see the greatness within themselves and step into the person they're meant to be. So welcome, Janel. I can't wait to hear what you have to say.
Thank you so much. Thank you. I'm glad to be here. Today, I'm going to talk about parenting during difficult times. We all go through difficult times when we're parenting. How many of you have had a difficult situation, like either with your significant other or a parent or a sibling or a friend, and you still had a parent? Anybody have that problem? And yeah, what did you guys do to help deal with it? Okay. So I'm going to give you some ideas on what you can do. And when I'm going to give you some activities that you can do, and you can do these with your children. And not only will they help your children during these difficult times, it'll also help you and help you process the stuff that you're going through. So the first activity I would have you guys do would be some artwork, Play-Doh, coloring. And when it comes to doing artwork, there's a wide range of things that you can do. So you can get finger paint and just get some paper and just like even butcher paper or canvas and just do finger paint and let them just go to town and create whatever paint, whatever picture they would like to do. You can also get paintbrushes and let them paint with the paintbrushes. Something I did many years ago, because my daughters are now adults, for Christmas time, I did this with them, with their hands. And then I ended up sending I have this one for myself, and then I sent one to my then mother-in-law and my mom. So the next thing you can do, when working with paints, it helps with their fine motor skills. It helps calm them down. It releases the tension that both you and your child may be experiencing and going through. It does help get rid of some of that excess energy that they have going on. And it does help improve their focus and their creativity. The next thing I would have you guys do is do some Play-Doh. Cool thing about Play-Doh is you don't just have to buy it at the store. You can make this a 2-for with your child. You can create your own Play-Doh, make it, and then play with it. So it's an edible Play-Doh, so that if they do eat it, because a lot of children like to put things in their mouth, then you can make it so if they do eat it, it's okay and it's safe for them. And just getting them to play with the Play-Doh, once again, it's working those fine motor skills. When children are young, they may use the big motor skills, the larger ones, but the fine ones are the little ones, and that's going to help them when it comes to writing their name and just using a pencil. Even though that seems to be a dying thing, you still need to be able to sign your name and know how to. It's a skill that is still very much needed. So it will help with those fine motor skills. You can, when you're doing this, you can have them ask them, what are you making? And what color would you like to use? And build something with them. You can create a house, you can create an animal, and let them explore different ideas. And it may not look anything like that animal or that object, but it is what is coming out of their imagination. So the other thing would be coloring. Coloring is an amazing activity to do, but I really would recommend just get a plain piece of paper. Don't get something that has the outline like we used to. I don't know how old you guys are, but we used to have it where there's a picture of a butterfly or a flower or dinosaur or something, and you had to color in the lines. Let your child just have the blank piece of paper and color. And while they're coloring, you can ask them, what are you drawing? Just because depending on their age, they may be just scribbling away, and they'll say, oh, it's a dragon that's blowing out fire. It doesn't look like that. It may, but it's what they are coming up with. They need to have that, their ideas to come up with an expression, a way to get that expression out to in a different way. You can also ask them, what color are you using? And get the colors incorporated in there to help them learn different colors. Doing all of this, once again, it calms, helps with the calming, it eases tension, it releases the excess energy, it just helps with the creativity, hand-eye coordination, especially when it comes to like working with Play-Doh. And if you have the little Play-Doh, I don't know, I want to call it a machine. It's not really a machine, but the little thing where it can create different shapes. It helps with the hand-eye coordination for that too. But it not only does that do that for your child, but it also, for adults, it helps with your creativity, the calming and therapeutic side, and it also allows you to spend time with your children. One thing I would add on is, especially, I think of this, especially this time of year, because this is what I used to do with my children, is we would go out and buy the little blank ceramic, what I'm thinking of is penguins, because that's what we had bought. We bought like 3 of them, little penguins with the little Santa Claus hat on. And each of my daughters painted one and I painted one. And so they got to, one of them I think was all purple, the other was all red, but they did it and they still have it to today. And it's something that they had created as a child. The next activity I would recommend you guys do with your child is to get out into nature. Go to a park. It's winter now, so it's probably not the best time to do some of this stuff. But when you can, especially in the snow, don't be afraid to take your child out into the snow, because it's another form of play for them. But when it's nicer out, take them to the park. And if you're in an area where it is warm, for sure take them. And there's going to be other children there. We have a park that's right next door here, and we just had snow that fell. And I just was outside with my dog, and I could hear kids out there, screaming and playing. Even with the snow, they're still out there having a good time. But when you take them to the park, that allows their large motor skills to come in play. And it helps really move their body and get out that excess energy that otherwise might not happen. It does help burn off that energy, and it helps with their social skills, because a lot of times, like I said, when at parks, there's going to be other children there, and that gets your child interacting with the other children and seeing, just seeing how they behave, because they need that. But it will also, total bonus, it will help them sleep better too. And you too, because the fresh air helps you. And if you don't have a park around, just go for a walk and talk about the things that you see. Ask your child what they are seeing from their point of view. Just because you see it doesn't mean that they do. So you can also point out things like, oh, do you see the kitty cat in the window? Oh, do you see the dogs over there? What color are the dogs? And ask them those questions. Ask them open-ended questions. That way they have a chance to answer. You can also use that time to count. How many dogs do they have over there? Let's count them. 1, 2, 3. They have 3 dogs. And then bring in, oh, there's a black one and a brown one and a white one. So you can bring in the an educational aspect to them. Once again, this is not the best time of year unless you live in Florida to do this one, but go to the beach and let them play in the sand. It's once again, it's good for the hand-eye coordination with the buckets of sand when they're taking a scooper and putting it into the bucket. That hand-eye coordination, it helps them figure it out, and it helps them with problem solving too. Of when they scoop it in and it doesn't quite go into the bucket. Wait a minute, why didn't all that sand go into the bucket? It helps them with the problem solving. It helps their fine and gross motor skills with this also, because they're having to, if they're scooping or even picking up the sand, it helps with the fine motor skills. And then also if they're running up and down the ocean or the lake or whatever, that also helps with the larger motor skills. Activity number 3 has got to be one of my top 2 favorites. It's probably tied I have 2 that are my favorites on here, and that is build a fort. So you can build a big fort or a small fort, depending on the age of your child. When they're younger, you're going to want to do it for them and kind of show them and say, oh, let's build a fort. And it could just be 2 chairs and a blanket and you're sitting underneath it. As they get older, they can help you build it and say, okay, how can we do this? Let's do some problem solving. And okay, this blanket won't fit over these 2 chairs. Why is it not working? Why is it not fitting? And let them think about it, and don't give them the answer right away. After a few minutes, if they still don't understand, say, oh, maybe we need a bigger blanket, and just give them that suggestion. And that helps them go, oh yeah, and then they'll go find another blanket. And the blanket you might be thinking they'll go get, it may be completely different blanket. So when you're doing that, you can also decide before you build it what you're going to do when you build it. And you can ask them, what do you want to do? And you can bring toys in and do different, create a zoo inside or a circus. You can build Legos. You can have baby dolls in there, or you can just get some books and just have it as your little quiet area. It can be a fun place for your kids to take a nap. It also could be, if you want it to be, it could be a place where you can go and have a little picnic, and have a snack in there or your lunch, depending on what it is. Spaghetti you may not want to do, but just a little something to have. It's just something different for them, and then to have a different world to explore. And when you do this, it helps promote the creativity with their mind, because they're like, oh, wow. And they may come up with ideas that you don't think about. It helps with the problem solving, it helps with creativity, and it's just plain old fun. It's one of my favorite things, like I said, to do in there. You can also do, I wouldn't do the painting. I probably, unless you're brave, I wouldn't have done the painting, but you can also get coloring books and color in there too. That'd be another fun activity. So this is the one, activity number 4 is tied with the building a fort, and it's read to your child. This is the number 1 thing that you can do to help your child get ahead in this world. And you start as soon as they're born. You can start reading to them and start talking to them and telling them about the pictures that you see. And when you open up the book, you're going to end up reading their favorite story a million times. Try and twist it, and instead of reading the story, ask them about the pictures in that they see. And do you see the squirrel in the picture? Oh, how many apples are in the tree? Let's count them, and that will get them counting. Oh, how many red apples? How many green apples? And talk to them about what it is that they see, and what it is that you can see that you might be able to point out to them. A lot of times I've found when I've read to children, they point out things that I didn't even notice. So it's kind of a fun activity to do with them. And when you're reading to them, use your finger and you point to the words as you're saying them. So you're that way they start to go, oh, when she's pointing to this word, that's the, and they start to get that connection. Activity number 5 is the most important for yourself. And this is one I wish I would have learned a lot sooner and did a lot more when my girls were younger. And that is do something for yourself. Watch a movie or a TV show. Now, granted, I would do that. I would do some things, but not to the extent that I wish I would have. So after your child goes to sleep, put on that movie and just enjoy it. Your TV show. You can partake in your favorite hobby. So whatever that is. So what I used to do is I used to paint ceramics while watching TV at night. You can call a friend and just talk to them about what's going on. It will help you relieve some of that built up, the issues you have going on, as long as it's a trustworthy friend. I have that in my book where not all friends are trustworthy. So just be aware of that. You can also, when you're at home, create your own home spa. So you can do a facial, you can do a pedicure, manicure, you can take a bath, you can do all 3, whatever it is you decide to do. And this is one that I have taken into my adulthood. I paint my own nails. I don't go and get them done, but it's one of those joys that I get of doing for myself. It's just a form of self-care. And when you take care of yourself and do something you enjoy, you can take care of others even better, including your child. I have added there should be a link coming up for 7 activities to do with your child. It's a free PDF that you can look at and download. I also have another gift of a discovery call if you'd like to talk a little bit more. And if you're struggling and want to know how you can get through it, feel free to set up an appointment with me. And I look forward to talking with you. I see we have a whole bunch of messages. I didn't get to read them while I was going through my thing, but oh, I'm loving this. Oh, I love Play-Doh. Oh, I love that. It's true. It calms me. Oh, I love that it calms you, Mel. It does me too. It was one of my favorite things to do. And I can go all the way to the top yet. Okay. Yes, ask for help. That's so true. You need to ask for help. Lots of time outside. Yes, our children, especially the children that are in school. I taught everything from 6 weeks all the way through 12th grade. Our children do not get enough time outside. They do not spend enough time outside at all. They need to at least double the time that they get outside. So that's why it's good for us to do that for them. My kids have been making clay projects lately. I love that. I would love to see them, Jena. I bet you that's awesome. Let's see. I think during stressful times, coloring gets mom and child into the flow zone. Also provides close time when you give them some undivided attention. That's for sure. That undivided attention, and that especially when you're doing these activities and you do it without the TV on. That is probably the one key I did not mention. Do this without the TV on, with no distractions. If you're going to have music on, maybe something that has no words and it's very light in the background, but no distractions whatsoever. Oh yeah, they love playing outside. Yeah, I remember taking my kids to the park, and there was Dora the Explorer, and there was the troll that lived under the bridge, and there was a bridge and we would act like my then husband, and we would go, I'm the troll under the bridge, and they went crazy and they loved it. So kids need you to be present with them. Yes, they do. Sometimes during the day where they can also direct choice. Yes, I love it. Yes, yes, yes. Love forts. I do too. Okay. Anybody have any questions for me? No? Okay.
I was gonna say, was this 5 things or 7 things to do with kids?
This one, my PDF is 7,
Uh-huh.
but yeah, but mine, I just did 5.
Okay,
So, and I added some different, I think I might have added these. I know some of them are in there, but I did add extras. So there's some new ones in there too.
okay. Thank you.
You're welcome. Any other questions? Comments?
I
Okay.
just wanted to say thank you, Janelle. That was so nice to have some really tangible examples of ways to connect with our kids during good times and hard times.
Yeah.
So thank you. Yeah.
Welcome. Welcome.
Well,
Glad I could help.
I think during hard times, sometimes we do overlook the kids just because there's so much other stuff. And we have a notion that kids are resilient and weather it. But I think we're starting to get a different feeling about that we really need to take care, especially when a parent is stressed and they maybe are losing a parent. I mean, there's a whole lot of stuff that we can't just kind of gloss over about it. I think today we're doing a lot better job of knowing that kids do have mental health needs. I don't like to call it that, but that's what because it's hard on them too.
Well, and something I did not mention, I did my first time I did this presentation, I didn't put a little notation in there. I did not realize this until the past couple years, is something can happen to you, something so insignificant like a car accident, and it can still affect you in your adult years. So like I knew a child that she was in a car accident with her mom, and then her mom got arrested for DUI. And like she was silent afterwards. She was with her dad, and her dad's like, yeah, she hasn't talked since it happened. And all I could think now that she's the one person, I'm like, oh my goodness, how is that going to affect her when she's in her 20s, 30s, 40s? Because, and it's almost like if you don't know to take care of it right away, which most of us don't. I just learned about this. If I would have realized this, there's so many things I'm like, what have my girls gone through that I could have talked to them about and opened that door? So yeah, it's definitely something that I think there's still a learning curve on, and we're all learning, but it's just still going to take time.
Yeah, what I loved about what you've said in your segment, Janelle, is everything you've mentioned is so easy to do, and it's so accessible, and it doesn't take a lot of time. If you've got 10 minutes before bed, you can get some coloring in, or you can get that, a little fort made or something, but you can have that time for connection. And also, maybe they can do a little processing during that time, but everything that you've said is so easy to do.
Yeah,
So,
it has to be. So
yeah.
A little quick background. We were in the military for 24 years. My ex-husband, my girls and I, we literally lived all around the world. So our house would change every, 3-4 years. And so, and we would purge things all the time. So yeah, it's whatever's easy. We try to make things as easy as possible. So yeah, I'm so glad that everything was helpful for you guys. Thank you. Okay.
Awesome. I think it's my turn.
Yep, that's
right.
Just gonna say is so next we have Jena coming up. Our next speaker is Jena. She is a landscape architect and nature play expert who teaches parents, early childhood educators, and others how to create sensory-rich, nature-based play and learning spaces for children so they can grow their bodies, minds, and spirits. Of all the things she does, her favorite is being the mom of a set of amazing 7-year-old twin girls. Love it.
All right.
Welcome, Jena.
Thanks, Janelle. I'm actually so happy that my topic follows yours because it's really complimentary. So I'm so stoked to be going after you. Congratulations, everyone, and thank you for joining us here this afternoon on Workshops for Moms. As Janelle mentioned, I'm a landscape architect, and for over 22 years now, I've been designing children's nature-based play, learning, and therapeutic environments. And so I'm talking like outdoor classrooms and nature play spaces and sensory gardens and all sorts of fun nature-based spaces for kids to do all those wonderful things that they do in childhood. And of course, in 2020, you know, as with many people, you kind of shifted, I shifted gears a little bit. And I still do design work, but now I do teaching as well. And I teach parents and early childhood educators and childcare professionals how to create, if you don't have a space, how to create a nature-filled, sensory-rich playscape at home, or enhance what you have in a way that really helps your children blossom. And so that's my company is N is for Nature Play. I am going to shift and share my screen if I can do that here, just to forgive me, give me a moment. It always takes me a little time to organize myself. Oops, not it. Let's see if that happens. All right, what are you seeing?
I see Etta and Elvie.
Etta and Alvie. Okay, let's see here. Last time I was able to do this with my notes, but I'm a little concerned that I won't be able to show my notes. Okay, so this is Etta and Alvie. These are my twins, and these are the most important people in my life. I mean, they don't even look like sisters to me, and they are so different, as all siblings are, right? Did I just go out of full screen there?
You're in full screen.
Full screen. All right, hang on. Sorry, I have so many things open on my computer. It's hard to know what is what. Let me pop up. Are you guys seeing that?
We're seeing the girls.
Perfect.
I'm seeing the girls, but it's not in present mode.
Oh, of course. Well, it's not going to be in present mode this time. Okay, so my kids are very different, as I'm sure all of your kids are very different from one another. Etta is like a 24-year-old stuffed in a 7-year-old's body, and Alvie will tell you she's part dragon or dinosaur, or one or both. It depends on the day. So they're very different. They have very different set of needs, as all siblings do. And I am so grateful to be their mom, because they have taught me so much about the work that I do, and in a way that no professional experience ever could. So eternally grateful for them, and also eternally grateful for being a mom up here talking with other moms, two other moms, about being the best moms that we can, because we all want the best for our kids, right? I mean, we want them to be happy and healthy and have fun and enjoy their lives and figure out what lights them up. So, I mean, if you want to pop in the chat, I'd love to know what are some of the things that you want for your kids in their childhood and growing up. For me, one of my big things is having my kids grow up in their authenticity and to be true to themselves to the greatest extent that they can. Joy, yes. I mean, that is so simple yet so powerful. I love that. So delight. Yes, absolutely. So, let's see here. Let me minimize my chat. And this is all possible for all our kids. And through my work as a designer of children's spaces, I've realized there's one big thing that is really important for us moms to understand and be aware of in our kids. And that one key thing is the health of their nervous system. Their nervous system needs to be a happy one. And so I'm going to give you a little primer on the nervous system because it's a really complex body system. And so essentially, our nervous system is responsible for all those things that are related to our survival, like breathing and eating and thinking and moving and all of those things that are really, really, really important for us. And it's also our body's way of receiving information from the world around us so that we understand our environments. And it all starts with our senses. We have millions and millions of sensory receptors on our bodies and inside our bodies. And they're constantly receiving information from our external environments. And so that information is gathered by the receptors. It's carried through our network of nerves to our spinal cord, where it goes on up to the brain. And in our brain, that information is processed and interpreted and filtered so that the brain understands the situation we're in. And once it does, it sends a response back out through those channels, telling us what to do in that situation, how to react, how to make a decision. Sorry about that. And so it's essentially the process that our nervous system goes through is constant, and it informs every waking moment of our lives. And it all happens at lightning speed because it's impossible not to have a sensory experience at any moment in your waking day. And so we take this whole system for granted, that our sensory processing is working and so on and so forth. And so in childhood is such a magical, rich time because they are literally soaking up all the information they can from the world around them. Every sensory system is in overdrive, gathering information about their world and about their place within it. And, as soon as they pop out in the world, it is their mission to gather that sensory information so their bodies can build this database of information that will build their brains and their bodies and their nervous system to create a more complex human being. And so as they move through their lives, they're going to encounter new situations and new experiences and new sensory experiences. And so if they have this database of information, the bigger it is, the more they have to draw on to their bodies to say, oh, well, this situation is kind of like that one time I experienced this. And so I can apply this knowledge, so to speak. And so they can move through new experiences in a more smooth, more enjoyable, and with a more centered life experience. So what happens? I mean, kids are constantly building their systems, but at times they become dysregulated. Their nervous systems can become imbalanced. And when they're in this state, they're in what we call fight, flight, or freeze. And I think there's another F in there somewhere. But essentially, this state is survival mode. And we only want to exist in survival mode for a moment, right? We don't want to exist in this state for a long period of time. It's really hard on us. And so in survival mode, kids aren't, their ability to do all those wonderful things that kids do, like play and learn and connect and socialize and imagine, all of those things are greatly lessened because their bodies and their brains are focused on their safety and just getting through that time. And so what are some of the causes of nervous system imbalance? And I will say what is causes for children can be the same causes in our adult system. So lack of sleep. Sleep is so important. To too much processed foods, or if they have a sensitivity to processed foods at all, that can cause an imbalance. Too much screen time, which is a big challenge. It is a challenge in my household as well. As nature loving as we are, we still deal with the competition of screen time. Not enough movement and activity, not enough connection. We're living in a really disconnected culture right now, and children need connection. And then stress can come at us and come at our children from all different angles, and it's inevitable. But there are some things that we can do, some of which Janel mentioned, but there are some things that we can do to help keep our kids moving back to that happy, healthy nervous system state. Because in this state, it's where kids can most easily access that natural state of flow, where they can be in deep, rich learning and growth. They can have meaningful, expressive play. They can more easily connect with others, with nature, and with themselves. They can feel grounded and safe. And this state right here, with a healthy nervous system, a happy nervous system, is the state that children exist in by nature. This is their homeostasis. This is where their bodies are always trying to get back to. This is their natural state. And so, as moms, what can we do to help our kids maintain a happy nervous system? And if they are dysregulated, how can we get them back to balance? And so we need to help get them back in their bodies, meaning we need to get them moving, we need to get them playing, we need to get them using their bodies in all sorts of different ways. We can help them have lots of sensory experiences, different sensory experiences, as much as we can give them. And being outside as much as possible is a real key component to all of this, because nature is where the magic is. Nature is the best kind of sensory experience that we have available to us. It's right outside our back door, right? It is restorative. And we know this as adults, like if we're having a stressful day at work and we take a walk outside for a while in the fresh air, get a little outside time, we come back a little bit more calm, a little bit more centered, maybe invigorated and a little bit restored, and we can pick up where we left off, but we're in a better place to do that. Same for a day at the beach. When we watch a sunset, we feel more connected. I mean, this is nature helping us restore the health of our nervous system. And so I'm going to ask you a question now. What do your kids love to do outside? My kids, I mentioned, they're very different. My dragon child loves her fairy gardens. And so we actually built a sensory garden in our outdoor space, our backyard. Here, I'm just trying to pull up the chat. So she has a little space for her that's specifically for her fairy gardens. My other daughter loves building things. And so we have a space for her where we've got stones and branches and rope and all sorts of things. I'll show you a picture here in a second, but she loves building things. And so we've got a space for her to do that. And then all sorts of other things in our little sensory garden. But yeah, so anything your kids love to do, see if you can take that outside. Nell says, my daughter loves fairy gardens and climbing trees. Yes. My son loves rolling on hills. Awesome. Okay, I'm going to talk about actually both of those things here in a second. Perfect. Okay, so I'll ask you another question. What if you knew that you had a space outside your back door? Maybe it's part of your backyard. Maybe it's a patio space. Maybe you live in an apartment and it's in a balcony. But what if you had a space that you knew fed your child's senses, that calmed their nervous system and helped them kind of blossom in the joy and the confidence and becoming the truly amazing humans that they're on their way to becoming? I mean, for me, when I started creating something in our backyard space, I felt some of the stress come off my shoulders about what am I going to do for my kids today? You know, I'm always trying to do something, right? As moms, we always feel like we're having to do and do and do. But when I started having a space that I knew my kids love to be in, I would be out there with them and they'd be doing their things and we'd be doing them together. But now as they're older, I can send them out, have a little me time, but send them out knowing I'm sending them to a place that is really, really good for them, that is helping them grow in the way that they're meant to, and is feeding their bodies and brains and their spirits all in the same time. And so I would encourage you to think of outdoor spaces. You know, maybe they're your backyard again, maybe your patio, maybe it's the park down the street, but think of them as a valuable tool in your child's growth and well-being, their health and well-being, but also think of it as a valuable tool to support you in your role as their mom. Because having a daily space for your child to go to, if they're in overwhelm, if their nervous system, if they feel imbalanced, it's a space they can go to kind of regulate and kind of get back toward balance. If they're feeling really good that day, it's a space they can go to elevate themselves. And, you know, just think of it as a space for daily kind of nervous system health, but also just general health and well-being for them. And so I want to talk just a moment about nature play. And nature play is really amazing. It's at the core of what I do. And nature play essentially uses natural settings, materials, and features to create an amazing and wide variety of play experiences, learning opportunities, and therapeutic value. And of course, therapeutic value goes to the nervous system health I've been talking about, but it also goes well beyond that, especially if you have a child with additional support needs or neurodiversities or other abilities. Nature play is such an amazing tool. One of the key things nature play can do is it gives children the necessary healthy sensory stimulation to grow and develop in their own way and at their own time. And just to give you a quick list of a more exhaustive list of value, nature play I've been talking about brain development, neural connections. It makes a more complex human being. It helps give them body confidence by moving in different ways. It helps build gross and fine motor skills. It can also promote development of language and communication skills. It encourages problem solving and helps them think critically. It also boosts imagination and can spark their creativity because of all the natural things outside. always drives that sense of curiosity and wonder. And then for them, it helps them self-regulate in their emotions and their behavior. And it helps feel connected. If you're out there playing with them, they're more connected with you. If they're playing with some friends or some siblings, they're connected with them. They're also connecting with nature and with themselves all at the same time. It's so beautiful. And so let's take this home. So what does nature-filled sensory-rich play look like when it's at home? And I'm going to, in the last little bit of my segment, I'm going to ask you to look at their playscape, at your child's playscape, through a different lens. And that's the lens of sensory experiences. And kids, did you know that we actually have 7 sensory systems that kids need to build in order to become more complex human beings? Not just the 5 that we know and love, but there's actually 7, and I'll introduce the other 2 here in a second. And so when I mention that, there's often a little bit of feeling of overwhelm on the parents' part, going, oh my God, now there's 7 sensory systems that I have to provide for, and I have to do, maybe get 7 different things, and it's going to be really complex, and it's really going to take a lot of effort and time to do this, but it couldn't be further from the truth. So my tip here, I actually have a free gift downloadable PDF at the end of my segment that actually focuses on this tip to really get you started to either create a really amazing nature play space or to enhance what you have with sensory experiences. But really, it boils down to start with what they love to do. What is it that they love to do inside that they can take outside Or if you go to the playground, what do they love to do there? You know your kids best. And then always start simple. Pick one or two things and go with that for now. And you can always build on it later. So I just don't want you to feel overwhelmed as we go through this information. It's so much fun. I just want you to think of it in terms of being fun and bringing more light to your playscape. So number one is sight. It's so fun to add more visual interest to their play area. And you can do that by the tools that you bring in through magnifying glasses or other tools that can kind of distort the visual realm. You can go to Hobby Lobby and buy a $5 wind spinner that you see there. Those were $5. You can also add colorful plantings, maybe some flowers. If you hop on my Facebook business page, N is for Nature Play, there's a post there about nature looms, which are actually a multi-sensory feature. But nature looms are where kids can find natural bits and weave them in to a loom and create this like evolving piece of artwork. And it's actually very simple to create. Touch. Just by the very nature of nature, it is very tactile. It's extremely tactile. So from boulders and logs and branches and flowers and leaves and all of these things that the natural world offers, you can complement with something like we mentioned fairy gardens, and you can accessorize that to be as tactile as you want it to be. Mud kitchens on the right are one of my favorite multi-sensory features. A mud kitchen, which is where kids can work with tools and mud and sand and water and all these things to, do whatever it is. Maybe they're making mud pies or maybe they're doing an experiment. There's so many different experiences that come from a very simple mud kitchen space. And mud kitchens actually stimulate all 7 senses. So super cool. Okay. Let's see. My little thing is covering up there we go. All right, next one is taste. Again, I mean, what's more fun to experiment than with taste, especially for kids? So if you have like a great raised garden bed that they can plant some cherry tomatoes or some other plants, cucumbers or whatever they love to eat, a small herb garden. Maybe you plant a couple blueberry bushes near there if they've got a play structure at home. Maybe you plant a couple blueberries nearby. Or one of my favorites, I have a dwarf thornless raspberry plant that my kids go bonkers over. So much fun to incorporate a sense of taste, but you can also use that space to have a picnic. So take your meals outside to their playscape. That's another fun way to incorporate taste. Smell, no matter where you are in the world, there are a ton of plants with amazing fragrance. Lavender is a common one. I also invite you to check out scented geraniums. They come in like a dozen different scents. You can get a chocolate scented geranium, rose, citrus, ginger. I mean, there's really like so many different options and so fun for kids to discover something like that. And then on the flip side, if you have a space for digging, and it could be just a small area like a raised bed, or maybe you just have a small spot where it's okay that it's messy from time to time, but kids love that smell of earth. I mean, we all have this innate draw to that smell of the earth. And the activity of digging is such an amazing sensory experience and a great system building exercise. Sound can be brought in by water play, sand play. Maybe you've got some outdoor musical instruments that you like. Maybe you want to build your own. Maybe you just want to hang a simple set of chimes in a tree that can, make beautiful noise in the wind, or as they run by and run their fingers through it. And then the next two, these are the next two. These are the 6th and 7th. These are both movement-based sensory systems. So our vestibular system is located in our inner ear, and this has to do with our body relative to gravity. So are we right side up? Are we upside down? Are we sideways? Our vestibular system tells us that. So swinging, any sort of movement, swinging, running, walking, crawling, jumping, hopping, spinning, Rolling, Mel mentioned rolling, her son likes to roll down the lawn. That's perfect vestibular stimulation. So any way that you can incorporate movement into your child's playscape, they're going to be getting vestibular stimulation. And then finally, the last one I think is really fascinating. This is proprioception, or our proprioceptive system. It's a big word, big mouthful. But proprioception has to do with two things. And so the first thing is it's our body awareness sense. So where our bodies are at relative to the things around us, where our limbs are at relative to the rest of us. So like if you close your eyes and touch your nose with your finger, that's a proprioceptive system. That's what the proprioceptive system is responsible for, that sort of thing. And so activities that, the second thing it deals with is activities that require the use of a little bit of force, push, pull, like pulling a wagon, pushing a wheelbarrow, lifting a little watering can to water a plant, even tying your shoes is a proprioceptive activity. So you'd be surprised how much fairy gardens, mud kitchens, there's so many different nature play activities that will naturally feed a body's proprioceptive system. So I hope you'd enjoyed that walk through the senses. And I have so much more information on this. And so if you do want more, my first invitation is have you hop on my Facebook page. N is for Nature Play. And if Janelle or Mel could pop my link in the chat there. And also any links on our sessions. If you're watching this on a replay, they should be really close to the videos, maybe down below. And then also my other invitation is to grab my free gift, which is a downloadable PDF called Nature Play Their Way Quick Start Guide. And it's really walks you through that first key step in creating an absolutely irresistible nature play space for your child, not just any child, but your child. And if you don't have that link, you can get on my website and it will be available there as well. And is for natureplay.com. And so that's me wrapping up. I'm going to stop my share. And I am going to announce our next most wonderful speaker, Mel. Mel is a mom, coach.
Hold on. I gotta tell you how awesome that was.
Oh, I forgot Q&A. I got so excited about Mel's stuff.
I'm too excited about what you just said to start talking yet. So hold on.
What you got?
What I got. That was freaking amazing. So I really enjoyed, especially learning about the seven senses, those last couple that we don't often mention, right? How are we in our bodies and that movement kind of element? I think that was really important. And I have gone away with all sorts of thoughts and ideas and stuff.
Yeah, those second two, not a lot of parents know about them unless you're a parent who has a child who works with an occupational therapist, because that's where I've learned it. I do a lot of collaboration with occupational therapists in my work. And those two movement systems are so incredibly important for a child to feel centered and grounded in themselves and really to have that confidence in themselves, to be able to move and navigate and all these things that come along with simple activities like rolling down a lawn or trying to climb a tree or whatever that they love to do. It's just so incredible.
How did you become interested in this after being, you were trained as a landscape architect? How did you get into this?
I actually got the good fortune of stumbling onto this really early in my career. So as long as I've been doing general landscape architecture, 22 years, I've been doing designing for children for about 20 of those years, and actually designing specifically for children with autism for 20 years. And so that's where I really got into understanding how important the senses are and understanding how important healthy nervous systems are and how incredibly important the right types of environments can really feed and support children of all abilities and diversities. So I got into it through just kind of when I was getting into my master's work. I kind of stumbled into children's work, and then kind of just this natural evolution in following my passion in children's design brought me into designing for children with special needs and additional support needs, specifically autism and neurodiversity. So it's been a happy evolution, and I love every minute of it.
So how specifically does that help kids with autism? Because we certainly are seeing a lot more kids in schools, being a teacher, where I never even really heard of autism, and then it just seems to have exploded. Maybe just more aware, but so specifically, if you addressed autism.
Yeah, and that's a whole big workshop right there in and of itself, Tracy. So when I got into it, the rates were 1 child in 250 were diagnosed somewhere on the spectrum. Now it's 1 in 36, and there's all sorts of reasons why the rates have increased. But you definitely look through. You have to definitely, every design decision you make and how you craft their outdoor space you have to give it a lot more thought about the experience you're providing. And you have to be willing to adapt that environment to fit their needs, because the needs of one child with autism or person with autism will vary to the next. I mean, they're all very different. So I do follow a whole other set of guidelines that I do bring into the work that I do for all children, because I've found that designing supportive spaces for kids with autism actually supports all children, because all children have sensory needs. All children learn a little bit differently. All children prefer different sorts of spaces to grow themselves, right? And so I found that my work, children with neurodiversity, has made me a better designer, because I've become much more sensitive to really creating one-of-a-kind spaces that truly nurture and support the children that are playing there and learning there.
I have a question in relation to that. So what would you do in order to figure out what those needs were? Like, we have I suspect, autistic person at our child at our preschool that I'm working at, a nature preschool. And so I don't know him very well. So what would your method be for kind of the trial and error approach of figuring that out?
Talk to his parents. You have to talk to his parents. And find out if he's got any sensitivities, anything he loves to do. Kids with autism tend to do repetitive actions or activities. Let them do that, because when they're doing that, they're actually getting the sensory information, the right type and the right intensity of sensory information that their bodies need at the time. So talk to the parents, get to know them, and just observe him to the best of your ability, and to just be really sensitive to what he's really drawn to and what he really doesn't want anything to do with. And that will give you some clues as to how you can support him in how you might craft his play space and what you might add. If he's really drawn to touching things, maybe you plant, there's a plant called lamb's ears, which is super soft. Or sand play is always really positive. Sensory things like sensory bins are really tactile. So there's a lot, depending on a child's sensitivities or what they're drawn to or what they really don't enjoy, you can really tailor their environments to give them more of what they need, but also help them explore the sensitivities in a more controlled, safe way, so that they feel really confident and safe in that place.
That's awesome. Thanks.
Yeah.
I see.
Willa has a question. She has her hand raised.
Oh,
Can you hear me?
hey, Willa, how are you doing?
Hi. Good. I'm a wonderful presentation, dear. I really enjoyed it. What
Thank
was
you.
going through my mind all the time, especially when you're mentioning neurodiversity and autistic kids, you could do a quick check, but a real good selling point also is the microbiome. They're actually doing studies now in adults. They're actually analyzing the intestinal flora of gardeners, people that are gardening. And it's unbelievable, how their friendly bacterium, their bacterial profiles will be actually quite healthy. And how there's like one theory in terms of autistic kids, a lot of them tend to have, I don't know what the percentage is because I'm behind in researching them. I don't work with autistic children anymore. But, who knows, like in terms of if they've done any studies. I don't know if they've done any studies in kids in terms of, because the immune system, I mean, how your microbiome is, it's just scary, the stuff they're coming out with on the effects on the immune system. And when you talk about dysregulation, the effects there too. 60% of our serotonin, or is it higher than that? I think it's higher than that, is made in the gut, with our little bacteria. And when you're out of those soil-based bacterium are just dynamite little guys, so that would be a good selling point too, as far as, a child's stronger immune system of course, I mean, we'll never know the exact cause of autism, but we do know that a lot of them are plagued with leaky gut and intestinal problems, right? And so just digging in that dirt and sand and the grass and the plants, they're getting all good friendly flora, friendly bacterium, right?
Yeah, there's actually a lot of newer books out, and of course the authors are escaping me, but there's a lot of newer books out now that really talk about kids and their gut flora, and it's crazy that how important our gut flora is, our biome there. They actually call it the second brain. Because there's so much going on and how it directs us and how it informs our decisions in life and functioning and that sort of thing.
Well, it's amazing. Last year, was it last year or 2 years ago? I checked it out too. For every one signal that goes from the brain to the gut, 15 signals go from the gut up the spinal cord to the brain. What is that all about?
I know.
15 to 1.
There's so much we don't know.
So exactly. So, getting outside, and how it mellows out all of us. So many people, they just get into nature and they're, they're not mad anymore and they're not ready to kill anybody anymore. They just mellow right out. So, if you researched, they're doing anything in kids, I don't know, but it's a good selling point for you.
Oh, thank you. Yeah, absolutely.
Stronger immune systems and happier kids and,
Oh, yeah.
Anyway, thank you for the presentation. It was great.
Thank you, Willa.
I enjoyed it.
All right. I'm glad to hear that. All right. So I am going to introduce Mel. She's up next. Mel is a mom, a coach, and a community builder who believes that it is moms with big, audacious dreams who are going to change the world for the better. They just need the space to dream and the belief of a community to help them do that. Having a big audacious dream, but convincing yourself to keep it small is something that women and mothers are conditioned to do. But Mel says it's time for us to play big, dream big, and take up all the space we need. So Mel, hell yeah. I say hell yeah to that. And I'm going to spotlight you.
Amazing. Thank you, Jenna. It's so interesting to listen to your own intro, isn't it? I was like, oh, did I write that? Anyways, I'm so excited to be here. And I do definitely believe everything that you just said about that. I'm going to pull up some slides here and show you a few things because I'm pretty excited about what we're working on today. Okay, can you see this? Yeah, awesome. Okay, so this is what we're going to go into today, which is obvious based on the bio, but I thought we would chat about how to connect with your big audacious dreams and why it and you matter. So just briefly, obviously, congratulations for being here. Firstly, it is really hard to take time for yourself as a mom, especially, right? We run out of that space and time for ourselves so often, and we give. So the fact that you're here, even watching it on a replay, is amazing. So this is a really brief thing of me. I've separated on the left as like my titles, and I could probably go for pages. Like I'm a mom and a sister and a daughter and a facilitator and a coach. And I actually loved yours, Jena, because I'm a forest school leader at a preschool, and I'm a speaker and all those things. But also the things on the right are kind of a huge part of my identity as well. You know, I love nature and play and community and purpose, and that space where we play with ideas. That ideation is my favorite place to be. And positive psychology, which is essentially the science of what makes us feel the best versions of ourselves, which is where a lot of the stuff that I'll be talking about is based on. And soccer and paddleboarding and so many more things is me. Okay, so I'm here to convince you that you are a change maker. You simply need the space and the supportive community to dream big and to believe it. So we're going to be going through 3 actionable steps that will connect you with your big audacious dream. I want you to literally go away with exactly what you can do. So the first one, and you'll notice there's a lot of permissions involved in this because I am a permission be human is my business. So I believe that we need to give ourselves permission to do these things. And the first thing we need to do is create the habit of 15 minutes every single day for us. 15 minutes is not a lot of time, right? It's really not. And the hint when you're creating a habit and trying to do that every single day is attach it to an existing habit. So maybe you could put in the chat something that you can think of during the day that you do every single day. So for example, I brush my teeth in the morning. I brush my teeth in the evening. I take my children to school 5 days a week. What else do you do? I eat my breakfast, usually later in the day. I have dinner with the kids. I get them to sleep, right? Yes, Janelle, have a cup of tea every single morning, right? So there's things we do every day, habits we've already created. And the science says we're more likely to stick with a new habit if we attach it to another. So if every single day when I get out of bed, I give myself those 15 minutes, which realistically as a mom is actually very hard for me. That's not the one I would choose for myself. It might be every single day after I put the kids to bed, I have 15 minutes. That's my prompt. I know they're asleep, 15 minutes for me. Right? So choose something you already do. Now, this seems obvious. So many people say this, right? Just take time for yourself. But what are we supposed to do in that time, right? So attached to this action, I wanted to talk through exactly what we can do in those 15 minutes that will actually get us closer to connecting with our big audacious dreams. So the first step, which I'm going to do right now, because I can feel my heart beating because I'm speaking to you, is to just literally take 30 seconds or less or more, whatever you need to breathe and ground yourself in the present moment. Like my heart rate just went down. My nervous system's much more regulated. I feel better. And then if you want to, close your eyes and just think about what is your body telling you. So actually, I'm going to invite us to just do this right now. I can't quite see your faces, but I'm going to assume that you're going to try. So everybody's going to, if you want to close your eyes, you can. If you don't, you can just kind of stare off in space. But take a big, deep breath in. We're going to do 3 big ones. We're going to ground ourselves where we are and just think, what is my body telling me right now? Okay, so my body was telling me that my gut, interestingly, is telling me to slow down, right? And now I'm slowing down. I was talking really fast before. So that's what my body's telling me right now is like, slow down in general. I'm curious what your bodies were telling you. Pop it in the chat if you want to share. You are very welcome to. So that's how we're going to start our 15 minutes every single day, by just grounding ourselves in that present moment, because our days are fast. They're go, go, go. They're task, task, task. Let's just ground ourselves, right? So now that I'm more regulated and I'm grounded, next I want you to do, and I'm going to do this too. I'm challenging everybody here, including myself, to start this new habit every day, is to do something that makes you feel good. And and Lauren says that made her feel really good. So that might be what you actually need to do. But yes, do those body check-ins and then go on to doing something else that makes you feel good. So these are 3 examples of things that are proven to increase our positive emotion and make us happier generally as people. So will make us feel better. So the first is gratitude. And it's a really simple exercise where you think of 3 good things that happened recently and how you contributed to them. And if 3 feels like a lot to you, start with 1, right? So I'm going to give you a second to actually think and do that right now. Just think about something's good that's happened lately. And then think, what did I do to contribute to that? So mine, which I will share, I was thinking about it earlier in preparation for this, is I just booked our tickets to go back to England, where I lived for 14 years until about 3 years ago we moved here, to go back there for 3 whole weeks. The tickets are booked, and I contributed because I made that happen. I think instead of just posting the ideas, I actually booked the things. I went on, I spent days researching the flights, and so many steps involved in actually being able to do that. And it is an amazing thing for us to be able to go back. My kids were born there and they get to go back to see where they were born. So that's amazing. And so I'm curious how that was for you. And you can share that in the chat. But the idea is that starts to make us feel grateful and make us feel those really good emotions is when we can think of good things. I'll give you a top tip as well. This is an amazing thing to do at the dinner table with the children. Name 3 good things that happened today. And they come up with fascinating things. And then, okay, how'd you make that happen? Right? So another activity, because if we're doing this every day, we might get bored with the same one every time, is to get ourselves into a space of awe. Right? So I want you to look around you and just find anything just in your room that is beautiful and that maybe you just didn't notice before, or maybe you have. And just take even like 10 seconds even just to think about how amazing it is that is here. Right? So I'm actually looking at this monkey that I painted. It's rainbow. And I don't know if I'd go as far as saying it's beautiful, but the experience of creating it was beautiful. And it's something that I did at like a wine and paint night that I went. And it brings back all these memories of my son being 2 months old and it being the first time I got to kind of really leave the house. So it brings back those really good emotions. Give me 2 seconds. So if I look around and do that for yourself. So the third one is any form of movement. So you could be walking, you could be dancing to some music, you should go for a little bike. I have a bike literally sitting in a stationary one right beside me, so that when I'm feeling like I need to, I can just pop on it for like 5 minutes even and just move my legs. Doesn't even have to mean that I have to sweat. It just means that I'm moving. Yeah. Oh, a little fig tree. Yes. Yes, Jena. Amazing. Okay. So you've grounded yourself. You've done something that makes you feel good. Notice these things didn't take very long, right? Now you're going to do a little exercise to get your creative brain going. So top tip, if 15 minutes just isn't working out for you on that day, you can include your kids in this part of the activity. So the first way to do this, an idea for a way to do this, which you may have your own as well, is a little game called How Many Things Could This Object Be? So I'm just going to hold up, let's say, ooh, this. No, I'm going to hold up this pen just to be really simple. So this is a pen, but what else can it be? Put it in the chat. Literally, what else could it be? It could be a nose. Pretty good one. It's got a white thing on the end. It could be a little bit of flossing. It could be a spinner. I can't do it with my broken finger. It's not broken, but it could be a wand. Yes, wand. An antenna. Yes. Amazing. And you could come up with hundreds of different things that this thing could be. And that's you activating those parts of your brain that perhaps weren't switched on before. A horn. Yes. Maybe a unicorn horn, right? It could be so many things. It could stir something. Yeah, so that's one way you can do it. Another activity to get your brain, your creative brain juices flowing, is to doodle something ridiculous. And I say doodle on purpose, not draw, because drawing, we get into our like, is it good enough kind of mode sometimes, but doodling is literally about stickmen and whatever else you want to draw. It could just be squiggles. So a way to do that, so you could do it right now, you don't even have to show us, is draw an object. So I'm going to draw a water bottle because that's what I'm looking at right now. I'm going to draw a water bottle. I've got it in front of me. And then I'm going to draw it wearing some sort of food, which is ridiculous. So this is going to be smothered in tomato sauce. And it's got some legs on it. And it's going to walk to the laundromat so that it can get self-clean, obviously, right? So that's ridiculous. It's ridiculous. So why would I think of something like that? Because it's getting my brain moving in the direction it wants to be. It's getting me unstuck from all the daily things that we're thinking about and moving towards the space that I'm trying to get to. So a third activity, should you get used to, or should you want to play another one, again, because we're going to do this every day, right? Is a collaborative storytelling. This one you do need someone else. So if your kids are here, or a partner, or a friend, or your cat, it doesn't work very well with that one. It'd be an interesting story, but it's a collaborative story. So the idea of that is that we tell a story together. So I might say, once upon a time, there was a water bottle. And then Jena might pop up and say, and it went for a walk one day. And then I'll be like, but then it tripped and fell into a puddle. And then Jena would say the next bit, and we'd go back and forth and just finish when it feels natural to finish. And the crazier, weirder, the better, of course. Yes, Jena, collaborative storytelling. We do it with my kids all the time. It is really fun, actually. And really gets like, so why do we do it why do you do it with your kids, right? Because actually it's really good for their brains to start to think and develop those storylines and plot lines and build that creative side. And it's doing the same to us. It's starting to get us and prime us for what we're wanting to do next. So we've grounded ourselves, we've made ourselves feel good, got the positive hormones and various pheromones and things going. And then we've exercised our brain. So next, still in these 15 minutes, the last thing we're going to do is we're going to reflect and listen. So you take the last bit of your time, however that might be, and just think about so ask yourself this question: if I was dreaming big today, what would that look like? And then just listen to the whisper. And I'm going to stop because I'm going to let you do that for a second. If I was dreaming big today, what would that look like? And you can close your eyes and reflect on it. You could doodle your answer. You can journal your answer. Or one of my favorites, because I'm a very verbal processor, is I just leave myself random voice memos that I never listen to in the future, but it encourages me, to be able to talk, right? To be able to get it out of my system. And it makes my thoughts a lot clearer. So whatever version of that you do, just listen to the whisper that is there. And if you do this every single day, the whisper gets louder and it becomes easier to see what that dream is. And yes, I honestly think it would be life-changing to do that every single day. And I am committing right now to do that. I'm going to do these 15 minutes. So here's a review of what we'll do in those 15 minutes. This is literally just step one, but it's the biggest one, is creating this habit. So take 15 minutes every day for you. In fact, right now, I want you to think about where you're going to fit in those 15 minutes. Commit yourself to trying. And for some reason, that habit doesn't work on that particular time of day, that your other habit that you're attaching it to, choose another one then, right? Building habits are hard, and it's okay if we break it once, we can just go back to it, right? So we're going to build that habit. We're going to breathe and be present. We're going to do something that feels good, exercise your creative brain, and then reflect and listen to what that dream actually is. Okay, so you've taken your 15 minutes. Now, permission to dream big and take up the space that you need. I want you to think of someone who you know will cheer you on no matter what crazy idea you tell them. Now, it's really important that you think of this person, not someone who's going to be like, ooh, or, oh, are you sure? That's a bit risky. Have you thought of this? That's not at this stage what you need. What you need at this stage is to explore and to be supported no matter what crazy thing comes out of your mouth, because often what's in our head doesn't come out the way we want it to at this stage, right? So think of a person that would be able to do that with you. I will offer my services for that, by the way. I love that. I would give a free call to anybody who wants to just tell me their dream. My favorite thing to do. And then once you've told them, I got this crazy idea and I don't really know exactly what it is yet, but here's an idea. I want you to explore together. Okay, if I had, it says limited, that's supposed to be unlimited. I clearly forgot to change that. If I had unlimited time, money, and energy, so unlimited resources, what could I do with this idea? And just talk to that person about it. Be like, oh, maybe I could hire that building downtown, or maybe I could get a big retreat, or maybe I could, can you tell where my thoughts go? One of my dreams. So whatever it is, find that person to just start exploring the possibilities with and play in that space of possibility. That's step two. So you've done your 15-minute habits. You might want to do that for a while first, right? Like maybe you're going to do it for a week, maybe you're going to do a month, maybe you actually need to do it for 6 months before you feel ready to tell someone, or almost ready to tell someone. You might not ever feel ready, so push yourself, but then tell someone. And then thirdly, every day before you go to sleep, visualize it happening. You have your dream. How does it smell when it happens? How does it feel? How does it look? Right? Where are you when it happens? And just visualize that every single night. You're already lying in bed. You're already probably closing your eyes. Why not think about that? And just imagine where your dreams are going to go, right? Our brains keep working even when we're sleeping. So literally think about your dreams while you're dreaming. And if you do all these things, I assure you, you are going to start to believe that it's actually possible. And once you start to believe that it's actually possible, then you can allow yourself to take small, laughable actions towards your big, audacious dream. And I say laughable because I mean like the tiniest possible thing ever. If my dream is to climb Mount Everest, the first step I'm going to take is to get off my bed, right? And then the next step is find some shoes, right? Like these are tiny, tiny little steps that we might not think are big enough to get us there. But if we keep doing them every day, which even as busy moms we can, then we get closer and closer to that final dream that we want to do. And then repeat over and over and over again. So here's a little review there. You've got your 15-minute habits. You've got telling someone, you're visualizing it every single night, and then you're taking tiny actions towards it. And like I say, you're going to have your big audacious dream in no time if you do that. So in closing, permission to take up space. The world, your family, and your community needs the person that you're going to be when you dream big and let it happen. You are a change maker. I love this Winston Churchill quote, never give up on something that you can't go a day without thinking about. Is there something that you keep thinking about every single day? Don't give up on that. And as my lovely freebie, one of the things that comes up often with the moms that I talk to is that we feel a little or a lot guilty about the time and space and energy that we're putting into ourselves and our dreams. And maybe we should maybe our kids should be enough. Maybe are we damaging them when we have to, sometimes put them in front of a TV, or ideally out in that sensory play garden that Jena mentioned? We're not, firstly. And I went and interviewed a bunch of people who, when they were kids, their parents were entrepreneurs. And I asked them what it was like and what did they learn and what do they want to say to their parents now? And I stuck it together into a guide that I want to give you for completely free, because I believe that every mom should be out there, whether it's a business dream or just another type of dream, doing that guilt-free, because our families actually benefit from us pursuing those dreams because we become more alive, right? Here's a little bit about me, and Jena's put that link for the free guide in the chat there. There's a bunch of other things on here that you can find me on Instagram, Facebook, website, wherever you want to find me, you can. And also, I haven't put it on a slide here, but take me up on the offer if you ever just want to tell me your dream, because you can't think of that person that will cheer you on. I guarantee you I will cheer you on. It's like my favorite thing to do. So I would happily give someone 15, 20 minutes of my time to say, yeah, that's freaking amazing, right? And to do that, just pop me an email or send me a message on Facebook and just be like, hey, can I tell you something really cool? Yes, 100%. So that's me. Let me come out of screen share here. I can manage to. And answer any questions you have. Throw your questions at me while I figure out this screen share thing. I can't get out of my Canva. This is the challenge. Good old iPads. Anybody that likes to play with an iPad? There we go. Okay. Okay, there we are. Any questions, comments, thoughts, ideas for yourself?
That was fantastic. I just got to say that real quick. I know you got to get going, and Willa has her hand raised, but that was, yeah, both you ladies blew my mind. Thank you, thank you, thank you.
Thanks, Janel.
Good wrap.
Sorry, my hand was up. I forgot to take it down. But just to compliment you, you had me dreaming. The mindfulness is wonderful. To be mindful, just to be able to take the time, and especially as moms. So, you have to be, like you said, just if that's not the right time, just find another one, but just keep at it, right? Yeah.
Yeah.
Thank you. That was great.
And I think, it's so common for us to say like self-care is so important for moms. We hear it all the time, right? But what does that actually mean? Like, what do we do when we have 15 minutes for ourselves? And yeah, there's definitely a time and a space for sitting in front of a screen and just zoning out. But if we only do that, it's not going to get us to that next bit. It doesn't move us anywhere, right? So taking the time and space to ground yourself, get mindfulness, and do all those things that I mentioned will move us slowly and sometimes quickly with those tiny bits of time towards where we actually really want to be. Lauren, you had a question in the chat about whether there was any themes that people notice in moms in their dreams. And honestly, I don't know if I'd say a theme, but I think there is this thing about moms want to make a difference somehow. They want to feel like they're contributing, right? Beyond their families, because they already know they're contributing in their families, but they want to know that they are more than that. And that's the theme that really I see come out. Yeah.
I want to take a quick moment as your testimonial, because I had the fantastic opportunity to be part of one of Mel's early groups. And I can attest that she is one of the best. She was so open and easy to talk to and easy to share things that have been on my mind that I found hard to share with the people in my life. And to have her be so receptive and to give incredible feedback, I was able to move through a couple of challenges that had been kind of in my way for a long time. And so I just am here as a testimonial to Mel's effectiveness and genuine heart in her work.
Thank you, Jena.
Yeah.
That means a lot. And I do put my heart in her work. And I think as women, we do, right? Like, I think if there was a theme again, it would be that it's
No,
when
Mel,
we put our heart in
Mel,
what
you
we
really do. You really do. You radiate safety. Like you radiate warmth, you know?
Thank
I
you.
sense that about you. So that's a real art, what you're doing there. You know, to actually make people feel safe to share. You know, I used to love it when moms would, you know, really get stressed out, and then they'd trust me enough to share with me. You know, I used to just love it. Of course, I was never a mom, so I just share their pain with them. I certainly didn't make myself an authority. Anytime I said anything, I'd preface with my, well, I don't know, I've never been a mom, but maybe we could try this, right? Yeah, no, I love what you do.
Thank you.
It's great.
Thank you. And thank you for the thank you for the ability to come and be here with everybody. And yeah, what a wonderful space.
What a
I am very honored that I was able to share today with you guys. You guys just, you know, I am so looking forward to the amazing things you guys are going to be doing in the near future. Yeah. So
Likewise, Janelle.
amazing.
I missed out on the first presentation. I was minus a cat, and it's really cold. So I was roaring around looking for the cat, and it turns out she was down in the laundry room. So I missed the first session, but this has been great, girls. Thanks.
You're welcome. There'll be a replay, so jump back on and watch it when it's when it's up. And again, all those links that we've shared will be, if you're watching the replay, they will be located somewhere near the video. So keep your eyes out for that. Thank you so much for being here with us tonight.
Yep, that was great.
All right, have a great night.
A nice little pick-me-up for moms in the middle of the week.
Oh, thanks, Tracy.